to the MadTrio podcast. This week we have the California Pariah, Jonathan Charney, James, the Fat Man Stevens.
Hello.
Rob, the old guy.
You're listening to the Rob Charney Show.
And this
Yes,
is
the Rob Charney Show.
This is MadTrio Take Two,
You're
because this is
listening-
the second time we're trying to record this episode. As you can
maybe
tell,
take three the way things are going.
Yeah, as you can tell, there's somebody loud in the background.
Construction going on in John's office.
So the most interesting thing that's happened in the news recently is Elon Musk has raised enough money to purchase Twitter, and the board has actually said, sounds like a good idea, along with one of the co-founders, Jack Dorsey, saying the board of directors of Twitter has been a constant dysfunction and issue within the company. And they did say they signed some sort of poison pill. So I'm curious on if they've bypassed.
No, they dropped that.
They did.
No, they didn't go through with the poison pill the way they were going to, at first they were going to go through. And then my understanding is they're going to take their money and run. All those people are going to be extremely wealthy, all the major stockholders, and he's going to pay somewhere close to $55 a share and take it in private. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
I'm
Who
curious.
the hell is that?
Oh my!
Well, to those
What's up, gents?
to those in the drinking game, he did show up. So please take that shot or hit
Start chugging.
or hit take a hit of whatever your preferred legal drug of choice is. That limits your
Speaking of which,
options.
check out my new Ren Fair edition.
Wow.
Yeah.
There you go. Very cool.
So according to this, Musk said, I also want to make Twitter better than ever by enhancing the product with new features, making the algorithms open source. That I'm curious to see how they're going to keep Twitter from being cloned or, the breaking or something like that. Increasing trust, defeating the spam bots, and authenticating all humans. I've seen some
So,
social
yeah,
networks
I
do
know
that
I'm-
via they require pictures of your driver's license.
I know I'm jumping halfway into this here, but I got the impression hearing all the news about Musk and Twitter and whatnot. I can sum it up by saying like it's almost as if all of it has become air quotes of Musk saying, "I'm just tired of this shit. I'm just gonna buy it and do it my way."
I saw somebody quote.
That's what it really
Pretty
seems
much.
like.
Pretty much.
I saw somebody have the greatest quote. What's the point of having FU money if you don't use your FU money?
That's right. Hey,
Right.
that's been said. I mean,
Right.
Yeah, that's a good
I mean,
point.
the guy will never be able to spend enough money. I forgot what he makes a second.
Unless the stock
It's-
market crashes.
It's ridiculous. Well, all right.
Yeah,
I mean,
and-
some of his
and I'm
money
telling-
is a
I've
little
said it-
theoretical, but
Yeah, theoretical, right? Not
Right.
exactly liquid, but I've said
Right.
it before. I'll say it 1,000 times again. He's the closest thing we got to a mad scientist. I will give him a pass for anything. Either we get really cool shit out of it, or we get the world's first supervillain. Either way, I'm down.
yeah,
I-
right. I understand entirely.
So I've been following this for a while, and some of the funniest comments are against him. All of a sudden, some of the Twitter
You keep freezing,
Twitterati-
John.
What's that?
I said you keep freezing.
Oh.
It's
Well,
his
hi.
video.
Well,
I
some
hear
of
his
the-
audio just fine, but his video.
My favorite part is some of the
okay.
Twitterati. One of the persons said the boring company is a very boring company. Who wants to have a very bad subway? So now you have people attacking
What?
them, even though
Well,
Musk.
wasn't he trying
Yeah,
to do
I don't
the,
know.
Well,
It's
Musk
his ability to.
Well, you know what,
borehole
I-
through the earth. That makes
how many of those people are just full-on haters of just like, I wish I had his money. This is what I would do. Yada, yada,
course.
yada. You're not him. You don't have his money. Shut the F up.
Yeah. Honestly, if I had his money, no one would ever know I existed.
Yes, they
no
would, 'cause-
shit.
because all your friends
would
would
never
be-
know my name.
I mean, I'm not.
No, I'd be out in the middle of the Galapagos Islands blowing shit up.
Yeah, exactly. I'd be right there with you, using an alias.
I could hear that the world renowned turtle exploder. You'd be the National Geographic enemy number one.
No, I'd be killing, just random things that go by in the ocean.
Yeah.
So we
You know,
have
the
some more-
problem is they acquire that kind of money, especially new money. It's not old money; it's new money.
Yeah,
He
right.
made it.
That's true.
He made it, so it's new money. To keep that quiet, the ability to do that is virtually impossible.
So
Well, there is the guy that owns a nuke, Jeff. Nobody knows who that guy is.
That owns what?
There's a guy who owns a nuke who goes by the name Jeff.
Oh, yeah.
And nobody really knows who he is. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Jeff. I own a nuke. That would be. I have to admit, that would be kind of an interesting conversation starter. I can blow up Taiwan.
Yeah.
What?
I know a guy who still owes me a nuke.
And since Ryan's here, I wanted to report this, and I've got a couple of websites talking about this. Rust movie shooting reports finds willful violations on set. This is from CNN.com.
Willful.
The crew on the set of the movie Rust willfully violated safety rules and demonstrated plain indifference to employee safety, which led to the shooting death of cinematographer Halyna, Halyna Hutchins, according to a report released Wednesday by the New Mexico Environmental Department's Occupation Health and Safety Bureau. Gun safety procedures were not being followed on set. The film's management team knew it and failed to correct it. Hold on, there was another part, and basically, where was it? The agency sharply criticized Rust production management for reporting failing to adhere to safety regulations, and they claim were in place. They put in motion something that they were going to comply with, and never put resources and integrity behind it, including using said firearm at some point to go shooting.
And I
think can I just say I'm not shocked?
That was an accurate statement. Is they were actually using them to go fucking planking out in the desert somewhere?
That was reported on right after the incident.
I mean, I know that's why I didn't believe it, is because it was reported so soon after, and I don't believe shit until it's at least a couple of weeks beyond.
Yeah,
I adopt a wait and see policy with these things.
Right.
So let's see.
I'm not shocked at all.
So that is what I would consider willful right there. I figured negligent, whatever, someone just made the gravest of errors kind of thing and felt appropriately bad about it. But that's like, you just didn't give a shit enough to want to keep anybody safe.
So this is from giantfreakingrobot.com, and this is the first time I've read this. Apparently this is from Deadline. He also reported in preparations for their impromptu scene during which Hutchins and director Joel Souza were shot by a gun Alec Baldwin was allegedly holding, that the armorer was not, and I quote, was not called in to perform her armor duties and inspect the firearm. If she had, Bowles argued the shooting would never have happened. Among other allegations aimed at Hannah Gutierrez-Reed shortly after the fatal shooting was that she allowed crew members to use the same firearm Alec Baldwin and other cast members were used for target practice, a former co-worker of Gutierrez-Reed said.
Unfucking real, man. I mean, to me, there's no amount of inexperience that excuses that. The one thing I think I can speak for all of us, when we first held a gun, it was pretty obvious the stakes involved. It wasn't something that was lost on me of like, oh, I wonder what this does if I do something stupid. Like, it was the most obvious thing in the world. I had the same thing when I started driving a car. Like, okay, this is a serious thing. I'm driving a 7,000 pound, bullet/bomb that can ruin my life or somebody else's or both if I don't treat this with the proper amount of respect.
Alan Baldwin was interviewed about about this tragedy and claimed that he had that he was told that the gun was safe to fire and not loaded. Baldwin's lawyer has also claimed that based on the report put together with New Mexico Safety.
Baldwin.
Hey, you can shut up now.
Alec Baldwin.
So basically,
you mean Alec Baldwin?
No, Alex.
Yeah.
Okay. So Alec Baldwin claimed that he was told it was a safe firearm, and I never believed the statement beforehand up until recently, where somebody said the problem nowadays is most people are so removed from firearms and their uses.
Yeah.
That it's the generation that grew up on GTA and Terminator movie who think everybody can come back, everybody can take a bullet until they see somebody take a bullet.
I don't think anybody thinks that. I think they forget how quick something can happen. How, James and I have talked about this before. I don't like getting flagged by a goddamn BB gun. You know what I mean? Let alone anything else. Like the one exception I might make is water pistols, depending who's holding it. You know, to a certain extent, I like to know that everybody is. I sent James a picture once of me at a gas station, pumping the gas, but my finger was high on the slide, as they say. And I was like, dude, even pumping gas, my natural instinct is to put my finger along the edge of something so as to not hook in.
Well, here's the reason I say that. He says, I don't think people realize how deadly firearms are. Like it's people who have been shooting most of our lives, if not all of our lives.
I mean, you've been in that have been in a closet their whole life without going outside or turning on the TV.
These are the same people who say the AR-15 is the most dangerous weapon ever created. These are people who don't know anything about firearms. They get all their ignorant. They get all their movie knowledge from the drive-by media, from movies, or from people who the last time they held a firearm was 20 years before when their dad handed them one. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I just
or
your
shithead friends even out in like the middle of the desert or the woods or something like that. There's okay, so I think there's even like a 4-rule version, but I think we all go 3 rules gun safety in general.
Well, there are 5 actual rules.
Oh, 5. Okay, so I'm thinking of the standard 3: the muzzle in a safe direction.
Always put the gun in a safe direction. Always treat a gun as if it's loaded. Okay, never point a gun at anything you do not wish to destroy.
Right.
Okay, those are your 3 majors.
Yeah. Those are so here's the thing is that those three base ones, and people want to add a 4th or 5th and things like that. I'm all with it. You have to break all 3 of those rules for something like that to happen. All 3 of those rules have to be broken.
Right. And
if you follow 1 out of 3, then this doesn't happen. That's what bugs the shit out of me about these sorts of things. I mean, like negligent discharge, I could sit there and browbeat somebody all day over. But if the other couple of rules are followed, it's a non-issue. At the end of the day,
we talked about this in other episodes. We've hashed this thing into dust, but it does get frustrating. And movie sets are different. There's no doubt about it. I mean, we've been through this whole thing about how things are, but my understanding from what I was reading, the most recent part is that the protocols completely broke down where the armor was not able to go through the safety tests and briefs that was required, that the gun was handed to Baldwin by a second producer and not the armor. And so numerous things broke down during this whole situation. And I think multiple people are going to be held responsible for this.
I do have a couple of questions.
It's the armorer's duty to resign from something like that. Like, I'm not able to do my safety briefings and let you idiots know how this shit works. I'm done. I'm not on this.
I do have I do have a few quick things to add. Is who brought the extra ammo, the live rounds to the set? That's the one question. Was it the armorer? Because at the end, then it's her fault. Was it Joe Blow from the set? Did somebody buy it? The question to me, that's the main thing, is who brought it to the set?
Sharni, you're an armorer on a movie, hypothetically.
Right.
You find out somebody brings live ammunition onto your set.
Yeah.
You find out that the day before they were out planking in the desert. I mean, do you not lose your mind automatically?
I would.
Their ears would be ringing.
I would go shit.
Absolutely. And then it goes down to who had custody of those firearms. Firearms, who are the owners and who has custody of those firearms at what time?
That's why I assumed
and why were they permitted to be used?
Custody.
Exactly. There's the whole, they're going to have to break it all down. They're going to have to figure out, who somebody's ultimately responsible, no doubt about it. But then, there's all this stuff that's been talked about. Like we said, the planking and the other things going on.
Yeah.
And you do not mix the two. They should never be the same.
Yeah.
So,
I'm sure we've all taken new people shooting. Probably multiple occasions. I consider it my responsibility if I take somebody who's never shot a gun before. Their safety and mine and the people around us is my responsibility at that time. because I'm the one who's having to explain, like, hey, this is how you do this safely and not kill me or yourself, or flag the guy next to him where he shoots me because he thinks you're a threat.
Right.
And this is apparently still under investigation, according to this website, Rust Movie Productions LLC. If y'all don't know this, corporations or LLCs are formed per movie made. So it was fined a maximum fine of $136,793, which, depending on how much money it was actually in the budget, could be nothing or a lot.
Well, this was a low budget film, so I'm sure that's
Well, low
a certain amount of money,
$10 million.
And whoever invested into it as well. So anyway.
Yeah. Oh man.
So I want to switch to a more something that
good. Let's get off of this.
Yeah,
still
please,
laughing about. So apparently, one of the baddest motherfuckers on the planet got in a little tiff on an airplane. If you're unfamiliar, if you unfamiliar with it, a guy who was described as a perpetual felon decided to piss off one of the greatest boxers in the history of the sport.
If I didn't watch that video 200 times, I'd be shocked.
By the way,
I kept replaying that over and
are you
over.
surprised how fast
This
Mike
is the
Tyson
guy. So Melvin Townsend III
Of course, he's
was
a third.
already
douche.
been convicted of fraud, grand theft, burglary, possession of a controlled substances, and trafficking in stolen property. This is the idiot that decided that he wanted to piss off Mike Tyson.
He wanted to poke the most famous bear of all time.
and a guy who was known for killing pay-per-views because he would end it. He wouldn't, yet he couldn't milk the
Right.
fight. So
Well,
I bet,
let's
I
face
bet-
it, Mike Tyson's also an old guy at this point, but he's still an old guy that I don't want to get hit by.
you should
No,
see
no.
some
And
of his
he's
shadow
been-
boxing. He's
he's
still
been
incredibly
smoking all-
dangerous.
Well,
Oh,
here's
yeah.
the thing. He's been smoking a lot of weed for a lot of years, and he's really chilled out. A chilled out Mike Tyson is still the most intense person you've ever met in your life.
So
right.
I have some quotes that I want to share because I've been enjoying social media in this. So this is from Jake Paul. If you're being heckled in public like Mike Tyson was, you should legally get a hall pass to beat someone's ass.
Man,
Let's see.
I want to see Jake Paul fight Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
I think we all do.
So
But
my
did you see the whole like couple of minute video leading up to the punch, or did you just see the him wailing on him?
I just
No,
watched
I saw
Mike. I watched.
I've
Mike
seen
Tyson-
both.
I just
Yeah,
watched
So
Mike
there's
Tyson
like
stand up.
a good couple of minutes before the because the video really is just him like over the
Right.
top of him, giving him a handful of uppercuts. And it looked like he was just trying to make a point, like, I'm just trying to smack you around.
Oh yeah, he wasn't going full board.
No.
No. He was just like, I'm
pulling all
gonna-
those punches, and he was just
Absolutely.
basically bitch slapping the guy.
Basically.
Like,
But getting bitch slapped by Mike Tyson is the hardest you've ever been punched.
yeah, probably because he was still bleeding.
Right, but
Right?
the couple of minutes leading up to it was, I mean, the most antagonistic shit. Where if you weren't Mike Tyson, I think anybody would have been justified to get up and maybe not punch the dude in the face. You know what I mean? I don't actually, morally speaking, condone violence. However, sometimes,
Well, there's a
point
couple of things.
notwithstanding
It's,
is, I mean, it was
Hey.
you would see that video, you're like, dude, you walked.
for
you
one,
pissed
it's
off.
Oh, yeah.
it's
Tyson
Mike
was
Tyson.
pretty chill through most of it. I mean, let's
Yeah.
face it, this guy just would not leave him alone. Tyson was nice to him in the beginning, being real
Yeah.
nice, and then he was still nice to him when he's telling the guy, "Hey, cut it out." This just
It's Mike Tyson. He's not really known for being super chill. So the fact he took that much abuse for that long. So here's
Well,
a couple,
lately
here's,
he
here's
has
a,
been known for being pretty chill.
so Mike Tyson punched somebody who was effing with him. The problem nowadays is MFers think they won't get punched in the face. That's by Ice-T.
Yeah.
Gene Simmons actually said, like, I agree. And the most fascinating thing about this is you see some people on Facebook saying, why are you guys advocating for violence? It's like, he screwed with Mike Tyson.
No, I'm not advocating for violence. I'm saying I understand the cause and effect of what happened. There's no mystery to me.
You got to remember Tyson's famous quote is, "Everybody has a plan till you punch you in the face."
Punched in the face.
And so there you go. That guy had a plan, and Mike punched him in the face, and that was it.
I think he let him know in the nicest way possible, like, "Hey, man, this could have gone a different way for you."
Yes.
He basically got treated like a dog when you hit him with a newspaper. The guy got reset the hard way. And here's Rogan's comment. If you find yourself in a situation where Mike Tyson is reaching over the back seat of an airline and punches you in the face, I think you've probably earned it.
Yeah. Dana White, the president of the UFC, had my favorite one.
The airplane one.
A year ago or so, he had actually posted this thing, and this was a retweet, but it was a video of him on a private jet, and Mike Tyson comes up to him, hits him on the elbow, and says, "I want that seat." And Dana just looked all kind of spooked, like, "Oh shit!" And he gets up right away, and he goes, takes another seat. He's like, "I liked that seat." Mike's like, "I liked it better," and sits down. So he reposts that and says, "This is how you deal with Mike Tyson on an airplane."
I did want to get into a little bit of politics, but I guess I think this is interesting, so we're going to keep this base level. The mouse stepped in it. The House of Mouse, Disney, stepped in something. Now, Florida passed a bill that was limiting sexual orientation, gender and identity, and a few other things from like 1st to 3rd graders. And first Disney was for it, then Disney came against it, and then they said out loud, the CEO said, "We're going to actively fight against it." And if you don't know, since the late 60s, basically the founding of Disney World, they had a special, I forgot the actual name of it. They had a special thing the government allowed them to have where they could bypass certain regulations, they can rule themselves, police force, etc.
Yeah, I didn't know what that meant. I'm like, are they the Vatican? What the fuck is going on with Disney?
It sounded like it, didn't it?
Like a sovereign nation inside of Florida.
They were a special self-governing status in the area around in and around Orlando, the theme park. Basically, what happened is they pissed off the government so much that Disney just lost that special protection or whatever it is, the right to self-govern. Now, I'm curious to see what would happen, but apparently Disney's already moved 2,000 employees away from Florida. And I'm super curious. Like, I don't know the effects it's going to have to Disneyland. A lot of people say it's actually going to raise a lot of taxes for people in Orlando and the surrounding area.
I don't really know what they had, what kind of special privileges they had and what they don't anymore. I was so in the dark and still am about all of that.
Yeah, there was some just like tax exempt statuses on their properties as far as I knew.
So here's a quote.
So I don't know exactly.
Disney World, that seems dumb.
So here's a quote. And I have no idea if this is right. This could be hyperbole. It said they have the ability to build a nuclear power plant without state consent if they want, DeSantis said. No individual or no company in Florida is treated this way. No, the problem is that's a politician. Politicians have a tendency to inflate the truth. But if that's even remotely true, that's pretty amazing that they would have given them.
Just say it the right way, John. They lie. Politicians lie.
Yeah, and also I'm kind of for nuclear power, so build a power plant. Get off the grid.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
I'm with you on that. Let's go ahead and just shut down Disney World and build a power plant. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
So the other
it
part
priced me out of my childhood long ago anyway. I don't care anymore.
The other part I think people should follow if you're interested in politics is and Disney fans, watch the conversation. If you can divorce yourself of the politics yourself, it's a fascinating conversation to see where you see it not only going on Republican and Democrats, but Disney fans and Disney haters. It's the weirdest political intersection ever.
So off of Disney onto the International Space Station.
Hell yeah.
The Axiom 1 crew finally got their ability to leave the International Space Station. This were the space tourists that we talked about last week that got to spend a bunch of money to go on this boys' night out at the at the space station, and they got an extra week. Remember we talked about that? They kind of got stuck up there.
Yeah. Space.
Yeah. Guess what? You're not going home for a while. But wait a minute, I have an appointment. You're not going to make it.
Do you think they had to ration their food? Well, folks, you're getting half of this jelly.
You know what? To me, that would complete my space experience.
Starving.
Yeah. Starving.
I mean, some kind of like space hardship, like, You know, I've seen way too many sci-fi.
Here's a hardship for you. You only get half the oxygen.
Yeah, right.
See,
which one of your crewmates are you gonna murder so they don't breathe up?
That's right. Hey, somebody's gonna have to draw straws here. We're a little down on the oxygen supply.
10 seconds.
No, it's just like PG&E. We're just gonna, not let you breathe from 4 to 9.
Yeah. And after you go through something like that with somebody, you never want to see that person again.
Right.
So anyway, they managed to come back to Earth, and they splashed down and were retrieved, and everything looks like they had a lot of fun for their $55 million each.
As far as there's so many aspects of that I want to try. I mean, obviously the rocket launch is one thing, that sort of G acceleration. Falling back to Earth, though, I mean, that's got to be a wild ride, man.
Oh, it does.
You're basically a powered lawn dart.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. I mean, and knowing that you're just straight falling and counting on of some giant parachutes to open.
Yeah, you're hoping that it's going to deploy.
I mean, that's got to be a
my life is
sensation,
dependent on that canopy to open up on my parachute, and what if it doesn't? It's not.
Yeah, I don't think they've ever had a parachute failure on a pod, but I mean, just like you are straight cooking, pun intended, into the Earth's atmosphere.
Yeah,
but there's a positive
aiming for the ocean. I mean, it's just
there's a positive. If it all goes wrong, it saves you the casket fee.
I mean, yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
And you can get military honors because your ass is going to be buried at sea.
Man.
Yeah, it's But anyway, so they're back and everything's fine, and looks like they had fun. And
so talk about back. We're going to talk about our amazing sponsor, Audacity.
Oh, you want me to do the drop?
Well, that went off like a hitch.
Well, I wasn't ready. Here we go.
Today's show is brought to you by Audacity. The game where dignity is overrated. Go to ODDASSITY.com. That's ODDASSITY.com. Pick up a card game from this website or selected stores. That's Audacity, the unforgettable party game for mischievous people.
And if you decide to take a recommendation and you decide to go to Audacity.com, use MadTrio, all caps, all one word, to save 10% off your final order. And something new straight off the presses from Audacity. There's something irrelevantly awesome brewing in their creative labs. Go to their website or Facebook and sign up to hear more about what's cooking in the Audacity labs.
And make sure to use the promo code Rogan. You can cut that out in post, right?
So I've got a gaming listicle.
Okay.
I'll make this quick. So Melanie, I don't know if she's going to be excited about this. I'm slightly. 5 dormant video game franchises that are set to return soon. Number 5, Lord of the Rings, Gollum, just what everybody needed. Another Lord of the Rings game. Saints Row. Those were fun.
Less of a meh, but
I prefer Saints Row over GTA.
100%.
Ooh, that's a bold statement, sir.
I agree.
Yep, I know. And I stand by that statement.
Gran Turismo 7. I'm not a fan, but it's an amazing game.
All right.
And the one that I've been waiting for forever, Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell.
Oh my gosh, man! Just anything Splinter Cell. They've talked about movies, TV shows. Just drop a new game, and I'll be stoked,
there,
man.
Right? I don't need anything else but a new game. Mass Effect is allegedly going to, and Mass Effect is apparently coming back because Andromeda apparently was a failure, even though I really loved that one.
I
thought it was
really
fun.
liked Andromeda, man. Yeah, I've been I'll be a Mass Effect apologist forever. I really truly love those games.
And I want a new Elder Scrolls, and I also want another Dragon Age. Give me those.
Have you said you were playing Elden Ring?
Elden Ring is fun, but it's kind of tough. I've never played a game.
It's a Souls game, so
But here's the thing: it's like on the Souls game, you have to be a masochist to get through it. This one's like This one's not as bad, except for the fact that the points you get, or souls, or whatever you call it, to buy crap, if you get your ass handed to you, you lose it. So there's that moment where
Yeah.
your inner child wants to go, "Fuck," you know.
Yeah, but you know what?
It's
I think
fun.
us, our particular generation, are uniquely adept to doing that. Back in the day, we remember that you got 3 lives.
True.
You know, and that was it. I mean, get good, nerd.
Yeah, it's like it kind of sounds a little bit like Sonic the Hedgehog. You know,
Yeah,
you lose the rings, you got to get them back.
that's it. You
There-
just lost all your rings. Be better next time.
There is something cool about it, though, is they have multiple characters and like types, so you can really fine tune your play style to the type. You know, like the samurai, the warrior, the mage, etc. So for me, it was
Right.
just a matter of finding which one fit my playing style.
Yeah, no, give me options any day. That's why I've always loved the Bethesda, AAA series, the Fallouts and Elder Scrolls and all of that.
Yeah.
The amazing customization and the ability to add your own narrative, to kind of what's going on.
There is one funny thing, though. Instead of a male and female character, it was an A and B. You want option A or option B? I've never seen that before. I was legitimately laughing. It's like, that's hilarious.
I mean, hey, whatever,
Yeah, I didn't care, but I just thought it was like, okay, that's
Yeah.
pretty funny.
It's the subtle things now,
Well, they're pretty much.
But
So, is that it of your list?
Yep, that's it. There was a short list.
yeah, there's a
All right.
handful of franchises that I need to make a comeback in general.
You know,
These are
I still want the Fables to come back. I really
Right.
enjoyed the Fables. Those
Yes.
were so much fun and highly inappropriate games.
Yeah, unbelievably inappropriate, and didn't look that way when your parents bought them for you.
No. They
Yeah.
definitely did not look
Oh, this
highly
looks
inappropriate.
Little Ryan will like this. I'm just like, I can do evil things in this game.
Or
Now,
as we who know
There should
James
be
call it.
disclaimers for parents. It's
doing the
just not
James.
fair. You cannot
I know, right?
keep up. After some of the things that I let the kids play or watch, and I kind of went, wait a minute.
Yeah,
There's
Wait a
only-
minute.
There is
you
only
got to sleep sometime, Rob.
Yeah, I know.
there was only one that, looking back at my childhood, that I've kind of gone, the old guy must have gotten a raft of shit a mile long for taking us to, and that was Cool World.
Ugh.
But
I was gonna say Howard the Duck.
no, Howard the Duck is hilarious because how dirty it is in the disguise of a wholesome movie.
Well, and Howard the Duck kind of falls into that category of like you can be. You need, in my opinion, a couple of those moments as a parent where you get to be the cool parent. You pick something that's kind of innocuous as far as you're concerned, but it's like the coolest thing in the world to a 9-year-old. Like, oh my God, I can't believe I get to hear these jokes in something like Howard the Duck. And you as a parent, you're like, okay, it crosses a little bit of a line, but I'm not really worried too much. It's a calculated risk, if you will. That Howard the Duck is like that. Cool World is like you need, psychiatric help after watching that movie.
Well, it's funny too because one had Leah Thompson, who it still today is absolutely gorgeous, and
Yeah.
and one was like this generation's like Fritz the Cat. It was such a shitty movie.
It was just the worst movie, and it wasn't, but it's close.
By the way, watching it now,
Yeah.
if you ever want to watch a movie that aged like milk, watch Cool World because I've seen it within the last couple of years, and it's
God,
it's
yeah, it's
hilariously awful. It's like watching a perverted high school play.
that was Brad Pitt too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, come on.
Yeah. And Basinger?
yeah.
I
Get
think
these
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
yep.
My
Oh, what a
Yeah.
horrible.
my favorite
Horrible
premise in the whole thing, looking back at it, is if he has coitus with a cartoon, there's issues. It's like, who thought that was creative solution to that's an interesting plot hole.
Pretty sad.
Yeah, someone took the brown acid, man.
Pretty sad. So I was playing around with some of the listicle type things for Melanie down here and trying to come up with a few that would be kind of interesting. And one of the ones that I came across, and since our one of our favorite chefs is part of this show, I was looking at a list of foods.
Gordon Ramsay.
That
At least our third favorite chef.
but at least I go
As
to a
long as I'm
restaurant.
before Mario Batali, we're good.
There you go.
Yeah, you're
Fuck,
good.
I
You're
he
good.
was
Right behind
above
Guy
me.
Fieri.
Yeah.
All right. That's fine.
You know, if James dyed the tips of his hair blonde, I think he would be.
He beats him out. He beats him out at that point.
Yeah,
It
but he's
comes up-
got to make
edges
his
him right
voice. His voice has to be raspier.
and
Yeah,
he has
he's-
to come up with
right?
a really shitty catchphrase.
But see,
Yeah,
this way,
he's this much. He's 2 inches of blonde tips behind Guy Fieri.
Exactly. And a catchphrase. You got to do a catchphrase because all these famous
but I
chefs
do
have
eat at the
catchphrases.
restaurant that James works at. You two guys can't say that.
Yeah, man, it's been
Right?
way too fucking long since I've had James's food, man.
Well, whose fault is that?
If there's one person that knows, you know, like just gets me.
The only problem is, even though he knows I'm there, I don't get double of anything. I don't get anything special.
I don't want to get fired.
Uh,
Have you met my boss? She ain't gonna let me get away with that.
She knows me.
So what's the? Did you get a chance on this particular menu?
No, those are all already in there.
Okay.
I mean, I did change a couple things. They do make their croutons from scratch, and that's my recipe, and a couple other things. But yeah, for the most part, it was already set in stone by the time I got there.
Yeah.
Well, there's been people like me eating in that restaurant for over 20 years now, so it's
Yeah,
hard to change
so-
a lot of the main stuff. Which
Yeah.
we keep going
exactly.
back for. So.
So how do you compare to the old piece of shit chef to the new hotness?
Saying
Because obviously the
hotness-
last guy sucked.
wait.
Hey,
hold on.
I'm gonna-
That's- we're not describing looks here. Let's be fair.
I mean, you're not.
Turnover rate at that restaurant is very, very high, and I've been there for over 5 years, and the turnover rate is pretty much about 6 months to a year.
Oh wow.
But that's mostly servers, though, right? I mean,
Servers and back of the house quite a bit.
Yeah.
It's like she doesn't trust very many people to be in the back of the house very long.
oh, interesting. Well, okay, it shows you what I know.
I miss getting into shouting matches with cooks and waiters, man. That was fun.
Well, unfortunately, the way this restaurant's laid out, we'd hear it all and see it all, so they got to be kind of.
Oh yeah, I've had to learn that the hard way. I've accidentally yelled shit and fuck a few times back there and been like, ah, damn it. Oh, and then I can't say, ah, damn it.
Oh, fuck. Oh, sorry.
I'd buy that for $1.
Come on, I always thought that
So-
the chef cooking was part of the show. I mean, the swearing.
Yeah. Sometimes, but
Right.
this is
No,
not
we've all seen enough Hell's Kitchen. We know how it's supposed
that's
to be.
right. It's not a Benihana's either. So.
I would pay to go to a Benihana where the chef is cussing in a foreign language. That would be hilarious.
Oh, I would pay to go to a Benihana where James is just like rolling his eyes, having to say the stupid jokes 40 times a day.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no joke.
Right.
The
No
most
shit.
apathetic Benihana's cook of all time.
The hardest part is getting the salt and pepper shakers to go up in the air, right?
He
the way
just
they-
keeps a mad dogging you as he's like juggling eggs and
James,
shit.
James is like the captain in the first Aliens movie. Kill me.
Yeah.
So what started this whole thing is that there's this list of foods that were the big deal in certain years, and it actually starts about 1940.
Oh man.
which
Oh,
I
God.
which I found really kind of interesting because I was looking at it and I thought, was it really that old? For instance, chop suey started in the 1940s as being the Chinese cuisine in full swing during the 1940s, which I went, wow, okay, so good on that. And then there was like, okay, so now things that aren't quite as popular now, but mutton chops or lamb chops, whatever, which I happen to really like.
Once they stopped calling them mutton chops, yeah.
Because
Lamb
everybody's
chops.
thinking about your beard.
I love lamb chops, but anyway, that's another story.
Yeah, me
but
too.
anyway,
Yeah.
they're really good. So it started at 1940s fad, and then chicken a la king. Chicken a la king was 1940s. Okay, I don't remember it much past my childhood, so maybe it was a late 40s type of food, but Do you guys remember chicken a la king?
I
What it is?
don't think I've ever
So
had
white-
chicken a la king or recall
Yeah,
what it is.
it's a white sauce.
White sauce
If
with
I
chicken.
remember, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
exactly right.
I
You
thought you
know,
were going to say it was white people.
usually poured over like a biscuit and served with a
Yeah.
vegetable or something. So yeah,
Yeah,
I mean
it's not
that's
bad.
no, it's not bad. It was fine. It's kind of a kid's food. And then
What's the salmon version of that?
salmon with a white sauce.
Yeah, some kind of like creamy sauce on it. I can't think of the name of it. Forget about
I
it.
don't know, but it's not germane to this story. So move on.
Yeah,
So,
Ryan. No distracting, Rob.
yeah, come on, man. I did things like. Did you ever hear of Clams Casino?
No.
Yes.
Baked clams
Yeah,
with
it's pretty
butter.
good. Yeah.
Bacon,
Yeah.
bacon in it and breadcrumbs. It actually is
Oh.
pretty good. But again, a 1940 thing. But here's the another one that was really interesting: turtle soup.
Ah,
So now,
Yeah.
if you've never had turtle, and geez, much past the late 70s and the 80s when it was kind of banned to eat turtles as they were trying to eating them too much, having had the opportunity to eat a couple of turtle steaks and some turtle food, I got to tell you, it was delicious, and I can see why it was there. But anyway, it's never really knew it was a big thing in the 1940s, but apparently it was. So then as we move into the 1950s, a thing called Steak Diane.
oh yeah. I like steak Diane actually.
Yeah, so it was a rich sauce with shallots and Worcestershire sauce and Dijon mustard and a few things. It's very good, but you know, again, that's not something you just see. I haven't seen something like that on a menu forever.
I think
I
you'd
don't
have
think it's
to-
on the menus anymore.
Yeah, I
No.
don't think I ever have.
I've never heard of it, so I think you'd have to explain
No.
what it is.
So,
You
but
just
I
did.
guess, yeah, I just did. I told you what it was, but you weren't listening. It's
No, I meant
okay.
to the customer. You'd have to explain
Oh,
what's a steak
okay.
Diane.
Oh yeah. Well, most menus do come with a description.
Explanation, yeah, usually there's
Like that
something
helps
there that says it.
everybody. Come on.
So in the 50s started shrimp cocktails. That was kind of okay. But here's one that you don't see too often anymore: sauteed calf's liver or
What?
liver and onions, that kind of thing. You don't see liver as often as you
Did you
used
say
to.
Just-
cat's liver?
Calves. You know
No,
what calf?
calf.
Calves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Swear to God,
Cat-
I thought you said cats. Okay.
Yeah,
No. I'm actually a liver and onions fan.
That's
Do you like that?
disgusting.
Okay, good. Good. Well, I mean,
How
if
do you
it's
like your
made
dinner brought to you
right,
by Fram?
it's really, really good. Vichyssoise. You guys know what that is?
It's a soup.
Vichy
isn't it?
sauce.
Yeah.
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 Cold soup?
Yeah, it usually is. It's leek and potatoes for the most part.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that soup as well. It's one that you don't see very much on menus at all anymore. It's like Rob's list kind of is. It's an older list, but yeah,
It's an older list, yeah.
I've
You know,
had
you-
that soup, and it's one I like. And I'm not a big fan of soups much.
Yeah, it's a good one because it is different. It's more of the high-end restaurants. Every now and then you'll still see it on the menus for
Yeah.
I
that
do
type of thing.
picture a
Yeah.
really hoity-toity,
Yes.
like French maitre d' explaining
Yeah.
what vichyssoise is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So chicken cordon bleu. Remember that,
I've
James?
seen that on menus still.
Still
I've
do you?
seen it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was a 1960s thing starting to come in to be real popular for them. And then the 1960s started the famous surf and turf. Everybody had to have
yeah.
surf and turf, and that started in the 60s, which is interesting.
Also,
Now it's
also in
falling.
the 60s, Mongolian barbecue.
Yeah. So surf and turf has fallen out of favor and back in favor and out of favor. You know, so it's
I don't think there's any time I will never not like surf and turf. Steak and
Right.
lobster. That's
Right.
my jam.
How about crepe Suzette?
You know what? Crepes in general have made a comeback. And you can put goddamn anything in a crepe. You
Yeah, well,
really
you
can
can have-
go overboard with crepes.
Well, the beauty with crepes is they can be savory or they can be sweet. So
Right,
they can
and
be
the
either way. And
First
so
time I had a savory crepe blew my mind. It was like some kind of pulled pork thing, and it was delicious. Like I couldn't wrap my head around a savory crepe, and then I had it, and it was just one of those like oh, I've got to make these at home now.
yeah. Good luck with that.
I still
One
haven't
of
made a
the-
savory one. I make pretty good like compotes and crepes, you know, on a rare occasion here.
See, I like blintzes if they're made right. Crepes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Really good. I haven't had those forever now that I think about it.
Have
What else?
you still have any from the 70s on that list?
Oh, so yeah, I'm going to get to the end of the 60s. There were things like chocolate fondues, which were very weird. You dip fruit things in the hot bomb, But so in the
Now you see
now they just charge $900 for it at certain restaurants.
Yeah. So the 70s started loaded potato skins, that kind of thing started in the 70s, and cheese fondue started in the 70s, and spaghetti primaveras started in the 70s, which I haven't seen one of those in a while, but I don't eat a lot of pasta anymore. So the famous California rolls, were started in the 1970s. Yeah, exactly. And
the reason they started doing that is because they didn't Americans didn't like seeing seaweed on the outside of their sushi, so they found a way to hide it inside the sushi, call it a California roll, and sell it to dumb dumb Americans.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I'll just wrap up a few in the 1980s, and then there were things like blackened catfish or redfish or whatever, blackened stuff that became the real. Everything had to be black.
Oh, that's come back.
Yeah.
Reminds me of
Patali. Which to me was mostly just burnt
char
skin char. You got to get the char on it. And you know what? I had it in New Orleans, and I didn't like it there either. So much for that. Fajitas became a thing in the 80s, and Chinese chicken salads were in the 80s, and tiramisus started in the 80s. Certain things, which were Caesar salads started in the beginning of the 90s, real quick there, and soup dumplings were in the 90s. And then in the 2000s, here's the big one. I'll end it at this one. Sliders became famous in the 2000s, so that was one of those things.
Yeah.
Oh, sliders and ramen, apparently, according to this list.
Oh, and ramen, huh?
Yeah.
Ramen was very much it was a thing around here for a long time in LA, but you had to go to Little Tokyo if you wanted to get ramen,
like actual ramen, not your freeze dried.
I mean, everyone had top ramen, and that kind of stuff in their
no, not top ramen,
but like actual legit ramen.
Yeah, well, there's still LA was pretty good for the original ramen, little shops, but it's somewhere other than Little Tokyo and those different areas that would
Mr. Ramen, Little Tokyo, if anybody's in town, best ramen you'll ever have.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, that's my list. I just thought I'd trip down the memory lanes of some of these foods came from, or they've come in or gone out or whatever.
Yeah, I'm surprised you don't have consomme on there.
Yeah, I'm sure this list would have. You got to remember, I just thrown together real quick here on some of the things.
Oh yeah, okay.
I can't name every single thing.
Yeah. I still want to coin my thrice baked potatoes.
There you go.
Very simple. Cut I think this was James' suggestion. Yukon Golds. Cut them in half, melon ball them, twice bake them. Right with pipe in the mashed potato part. Beer batter, deep fry it.
Fair food.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Put them on a stick. I don't care what you do.
Yeah. Sounds like enough calories for a week.
Yeah, but you can actually load in like your chives, and since you're gonna flash fry it real quick, you could even mix in some sour cream.
Yes,
some bacon bits sour cream inside of the thing. Yeah,
you put me in a diabetic coma. Have any of you been following the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard thing?
Yes,
not very closely. I haven't watched any of the court proceedings or anything like that, but
it's certainly been funny. Some of the comments.
I've watched a handful of them. Yeah,
the videos of this is. As a court case, it's one of the most hilarious, just because all the Amber Heard's lawyer keeps asking the thing, doing the Trump and asking question 4 or 5 times, and the whole time Johnny Depp's like, yes, again, it's a perfectly asked question, yes, it's hilarious. If you guys get a chance to see it,
there's some good compilations out there.
Yeah,
Howard Stern just threw a little bit of shade on the whole Johnny Depp thing, talking about the fact that Johnny can't figure out which accent to use while he's talking. And I'm sure he's forgotten what his regular voice sounds like. Sounds like, he's always got a
style.
Yeah.
Considering he partied with the guy who wrote Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, I think he gets a pass. He probably doesn't remember the last 20 years.
Probably doesn't, although he's claiming he does. But I don't know.
I love the part where they're asking him do you use drugs?
Yes.
And as everybody's in the courtroom, do we not know who we're talking to right now?
You know who you're talking to? And he answers in his Jack Sparrow.
My one of my favorite ones is the guy asked him, and something about Amber Heard and said, and you were drinking in the morning, and he said, isn't happy hour anytime? And the whole
5
courtroom
o'clock
started
somewhere.
laughing. Yeah. It's
Yeah. It's definitely 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah, I learned that line from Bugs Bunny, by the way. Thank you, 1940s.
it's hilarious. And I'm assuming Johnny Depp is innocent, especially considering all of Amber Heard's exes that have come underneath all the rocks and said she's a horrible human being.
I think it was
a foregone
mutual
conclusion.
It's mutual combat, as far as I'm
that's what I
concerned, with
think.
the two of them. You know, and it's just like, I don't know. You know, how did this really ruin his? How many millions and millions and millions of dollars has he made? How did this really ruin his Hollywood?
Wasn't this
ability to
around
be
the
in
same time
movies?
about Me Too?
Well, it did. They did put on hold a couple of his projects. They ripped him out of the Fantastic Beasts one. It's one of the Harry Potter things, and those movies make a mint.
I thought,
he pulls in big ass paychecks, man.
He learned he got fired from Pirates of the Caribbean via a newspaper, and he recently said, "I'll never come back ever."
And it's not about how much money you had going in. It's like you lost money. Like the amount of money that you had going in, as rich as he is irrelevant.
Oh, and I agree with that. It's just, it's kind of like, okay, so obviously it must have harmed his career in some manner. And hers was in the toilet anyway.
For sure.
Wasn't this? Didn't this come around the same time as Me Too, where there, like no matter what you did, guilty or innocent, it would. If you came across it during that period of time, you would be.
I feel like it was late in that period or something. Like in my mind, it sticks out as a separate sort of a thing. But I mean, like apparently there was a lot of fabrication going on her side. Like some, I know at least at the time, and I don't know what the actual findings of the court case were the alleged Hollywood style makeup for the bruising and stuff that she would do to try to make it look like X, Y, or Z. What happened.
Oh, yes. I just recently read about that. And the company came out and said, that product wasn't out X amount of years ago.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I saw that one.
And it's interesting because I actually like Johnny Depp, but this is interesting because it's the first time I remember in a long time you have two people where everybody's like, if you saw two alcoholics getting each other beaten up, you'd be like, it'd be Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. So,
yeah. And look, I like Johnny Depp movies. I'm incredibly indifferent to him as a person. I don't bloody know this guy.
I'd love to see a legitimate.
I saw him walking the rafters of the Viper Room one day on Sunset, and that was about it. He's 250 feet from me, and it was just like, oh, there he is. I know that he likes to go clubbing and that he's done a lot of drugs in his life, and he played Jack Sparrow and Fear and Loathing and Nick of Time and Ninth Gate. And you know what I'm saying? Like, I like his movies. That's about it.
I would
if it turns out he's a piece of shit, then do what you do to pieces of shit. If it turns out he's not, then hey, I'd like to see another Johnny Depp movie.
I would legitimately love to see a Joe Rogan sit down style interview with no time limits and just literally see what the dude's about, because you don't really know anything about him.
Right.
And so like every time I hear a little tidbit about him, it just seems like super fascinating. Like you heard like Nick Cage for like $50 million, buying a dinosaur skull, then being forced to give it back, but not getting his money back. Like just, he just seems super interesting.
I almost want to know about these celebrities' eccentricities, because it's kind of like, I think we all to a certain extent live a little vicariously through the crazy shit that, certain people get to do, a la the Prince buying a camel for some rando reason, that kind of stuff.
He just bought it for the feet.
But I don't need to know what everyone's personal politics are. You're an actor. Dance, monkey. Like, that's legit our relationship.
Yeah, it's
You
transactional.
money, you fucking dance.
That's one of the reasons I love the golden era of Hollywood. When they got the fact it's a game, it's 100%, like their personal lives only mattered so much. Like if you actually pay attention to back in the day, you didn't know anything besides Joe DiMaggio liked Marilyn Monroe, and everything else.
Whatever. You didn't know dick about Cary Grant. You didn't know anything about Burt Reynolds until, way the hell later. And, people want to write a book late in their life. Cool. But it did leave a lot of room for some shady things to happen, no doubt.
Like Bing Crosby.
But I don't think
nobody realized he was a
I
piece
don't
of shit
think
human being.
anybody. Bill Cosby, not Bing Crosby.
No, Bing Crosby. According to all of his children, except for one,
Bing
Bing
wasn't
Crosby
great
was a lousy
either, yeah.
human being.
Oh, really? Okay.
Read Gary Crosby, who was also in Adam 12, a handful of TV shows, wrote a book about him and said he just was kind of an awful person. I'm heavily paraphrasing.
I mean, hey, look, there's a difference between being a dick and being like criminally, like you beat your wife, or
he certainly liked to beat his children, from what I understand.
I mean, that kind of makes you a
Really?
dick.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, anyway.
So, but see, I don't know. See, Johnny Depp to me seems interesting enough. I'd love just to see him on a long form sit down interview where he's not, because if you watch him in any of these interviews, he's on guard the whole time because all these stupid interviewers always want to do a gotcha question. I want to ask a stupid question.
Yeah.
And Joe Rogan is cool because at least, or that style is, because it's a natural ebb and flow conversation. You actually get to see what this person's about.
How many actors have you seen interviewed where you realize it kind of takes the mystique where you're just like, oh, it's just this guy's just an actor. This isn't Martin Riggs. This isn't why can't I think of Bruce Willis's character from Die Hard? Wow, that's terrible. But Bruce Willis is an actor. He's a song and dance man. Yeah, he plays like tough guys and things, and he can probably act pretty intimidating, but he's a fucking actor. And every time you hear him talk, he's talking about like acting, and you're like this guy's a theater nerd.
See, Mel Gibson I think is a bad choice because not only is his characters fascinating, he's an interesting human being. I mean, he's off the wall.
Right, but I mean, if I didn't know anything about him as a person, it wouldn't make his movies better or worse.
Yeah, I think
and knowing that he's not William Wallace, just takes me out of the thing.
I actually think him being kind of an odd character actually makes me love his movies more. Same with Nicolas Cage. Like he's had a resurgence lately in a bunch of interviews, and just the oddness about him kind of makes me love him more.
Nick Cage occupies the same territory as
Punky Brewster.
Why can't I think of his name? The Fly.
Pee Wee Herman.
Oh, Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum, where you only watch them because they're insane people.
They're odd.
The eccentricity is what you gravitate towards. You don't want to know what this guy's problems are.
Nick Cage is a Coppola, though, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, so maybe that answers a few questions.
Yeah, and he's into like crazy German silent films. I mean, the dude's a complete maniac.
Well, see, that's why I think
some of the choices that guy's made in movies just blown my mind.
Well, that's what I think is interesting. I just like getting to the actual long form conversation with him is interesting because he took a bunch of shitty films to pay off his taxes. He knew exactly what he was doing. He wasn't doing it for the art. He was doing it because he needed to get away from a bill.
He needed the cash. Yeah.
Who, Nick Cage?
Yeah. It's like why Steven Tyler was on America's Got Talent or American Idol, one of those shows. He said, I wanted to buy a house.
Yeah.
He said, anytime I tour with a band, I got to split it 5 ways. I go on American Idol,
right.
Only have to split it with my agent.
Right.
What a great way to get a nice big house too, huh?
Yeah. Hey, sure. And there's some advice for all you young musicians out there. Get like a 3-piece band.
Yeah.
Don't have 9 guys in your band.
No backup singers.
No, think it through,
yeah,
man.
true.
You get studio musicians to do the album, and you've got 3 members of the band.
Just right. Johnny Cash and the Tennessee 2. I mean, that's
what I'm saying. Exactly.
Yeah. So nowadays, everybody expects these mega shows, and got to hire 500 people to put them on.
Yeah, they're spoiled.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of musicians like Neil Peart along anymore.
Well, not a lot of bands are really getting into progressive rock, like not a lot of jam bands out there anymore. Rush wasn't a jam band, but no one's trying to give 9 minutes to a new song.
I think there's somebody out there going, what? Fuck you. You're making fun of Rush.
A lot of those people.
I think because we're running up, and I always thought music was an interesting topic, but we unfortunately have to stop there. If you like Rush, tell us your favorite song. And no, it can't be that one you're just about to name. So, ladies and gentlemen, for the California Pariah, the Fat Man, the Old Guy, and who the hell is that? As always, thank you for listening.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
So I knew we were running short on time, but anybody seen